Right now, we're going to look at Google Classroom and we're going to take a peek at how we can add students. And remember, there are two different ways where we can do it, and I'm going to show you both right now. So I would have created my class in the very beginning. So remember, when we create our classes, we go over to our classes section, and if we're registered as a teacher, we can do the create class, and our students will just have the option to join. They won't have the create class option. And once we do that and we pick our theme that we want to have and we've named our class, then we can start adding our students. So typically you would have the students in front of you in class, and most teachers do this. They click on that display, and then this also makes it larger again, so it's really big, full screen, and you'd say, okay, kids, open Google Classroom. And so I would instruct my students to click on the waffle on the right hand side and to click on Google Classroom and then have them join and type in this code, and they would be added into the class. And usually when I do that, I put up the people slide so I can say, oh great, and I can say who's already in, so I can see as their names pop up. So it's sort of like a whole class activity, and then I can see who needs help, and I kind of walk around the room. So that's the first way to do it. The other way that you can do it is you can click on this button here. So you can go to the People tab, and then you click on the icon of the person with the plus, which would indicate I want to add another person. And I'm going to click on the invite, and then I can type their email address and click the invite button, and then they will get an email invite. So I'm going to invite a student just to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to invite this student, and I can just click the invite button. And you can paste a bunch of students at once. So if you have an email distribution list, it's really easy to do. So you can see right now that this person has been invited. So I've gone over to the student account, and they're going to get an invitation that says they were invited to join. And if they click the join button, once they see this window, they verify their email, and then they're going to press the continue button. So now the student is brought right into the class, and they get a little bit of review so that they can share something with their class on the stream, and that's because I have that feature turned on, but again, I can turn that off as a teacher. So I've gone back to the people section of my teacher site, and you can see that that student is now joined in, and they're going to see everything that I want them to see. Now there's a couple more things that I'd like to review with you. So the students are able to post to the stream right now, and that's because I did that in the settings. And so that's something, again, there's other videos with that, but this is where you can change that in the class settings. The other thing why we're also in the class settings is that class code. So right now you can display it from here too, but obviously it's very easy just from the banner to do that. You could copy it, and that way if you needed to send it on an email to somebody, then you could have that. The tricky thing is don't forget that different people have different ways of accessing classes. So in order to see your classroom as a student, it has to be, they need to have the same domain name. So you can't add people outside of your domain. But you can also reset the class code. So if there was a problem or something weird was happening, you could just reset it and get a new class code. So that's something that you can do. And you can also disable the class code and then re-enable it. So if I click the disable, if someone had that code, they couldn't join the class anymore. So sometimes I've heard teachers have problems where a student keeps going to the wrong class. If you have, let's say you have the class codes up on your board and you have 5 different sections of the same class, and a kid keeps adding in the wrong one. So you can disable it once you get all of your students in there. The other thing that you can do, and then once you've disabled it, by the way, you can just enable it again. So you don't need to keep it disabled. So if there was an issue where I had an incorrect kid in the class, I could go to the People tab, and I can click next to the kid's name, and that gives some action. So here I can remove them. I can also mute a student. So if I don't want, let's say most of the class is posting correctly and most of them are having not an issue, but I have one student that really is causing problems, I can mute them for a little bit. So that's another option for you. And on the other side, I'm going to unclick that. This is how you could just email a single student. You could just email a student that way. I think it's just as easy to go into Gmail, but that's all right. And also from here, if you do email, it's going to bring up the email, and it's going to put all the kids into a BCC, and then you can send all of your class a message that way. So those are a couple different tips for you. So hopefully you figured out the two major ways you can either add students manually through the invite students button, or you can go to your stream and you can add them when they're in the classroom with you. You can just give them the code. So those are the two major ways, and were a few other tips in this, but hopefully this will get you started. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks.